Hello there, and welcome to the calm space of Lumiverse, NL. A quiet corner of the universe where knowledge drifts like starlight and the rhythm of life slows into calm. Tonight, we return to our home planet, the only world we know that breathes. A world of rain and stone, of forests that whisper, and oceans that dream. This is the story of life on Earth, not told in haste, but in stillness. Everywhere you look, life persists. It glows in the deep ocean, hides beneath frozen soil, and floats unseen in the air we breathe. Some creatures are ancient beyond measure, survivors of cataclysms that erased entire ages. Others are so fragile they live only for a day. Yet in that brief time, they complete the cycle of being. Together, they form an unbroken chain, a tapestry woven from time, chance, and persistence. Scientists believe life began not in sunlight, but in darkness, perhaps in the deep sea, where heat and pressure replace the comfort of warmth. Imagine the planet then, oceans of shadow, continents still unborn, lightning flashing across a heavy sky. In the black depths, cracks in the Earth's crust leaked minerals into boiling water, and within those vents, chemistry became choreography. Molecules collided, connected, and began to copy themselves. It was not planned, it was patience taking form. Even now, those hydrothermal vents are alive with creatures that depend not on light, but on chemistry. Blind crabs, white worms, and bacteria harvest energy from minerals instead of the sun. It is a world without dawn, where the earth feeds its own children. From such beginnings came every form of life, from trees to humans, from coral to cloud. The miracle is not that life began, but that it continues, adapting endlessly to every corner of this planet. So as you listen tonight, breathe slowly. Feel the air that once circled through forests, oceans, and lungs long before you. You are part of the same rhythm, one pulse shared by everything that lives. Life does not rush. It unfolds, patiently, beautifully, across time. Because to know life on Earth is to rest inside the story of survival itself. Beneath the surface of the ocean, far beyond where sunlight can reach, lie the hidden laboratories of the Earth, places where creation began. These are the hydrothermal vents, openings in the planet's crust where boiling water bursts from the seafloor, rich with minerals drawn from molten rock below. In this extreme darkness, life discovered its first foothold. The vents glow faintly in the deep. Around them, chimneys of black stone rise like towers, exhaling clouds of shimmering heat. It is a world of pressure so immense that the human body would collapse in an instant, and yet, here, ecosystems flourish. Tube worms, blind shrimp, and microscopic bacteria thrive in an environment untouched by light, powered entirely by chemistry. Instead of photosynthesis, they perform chemosynthesis, turning hydrogen sulfide into food. These ancient chemical engines are among the first forms of metabolism that ever existed. To watch this world through the lens of science is to witness a kind of underwater sunrise, not of light, but of reaction. Every bubble that escapes a vent carries energy born from the planet's interior. And every molecule of life that forms here is a whisper of the same reaction that once began all biology. Some scientists even call these vents the cradles of life, where minerals acted as catalysts, encouraging molecules to arrange themselves into structures capable of memory and replication. It is humbling to realize that the same reactions happening here today are echoes of a beginning 4 billion years ago. The planet has not forgotten how to create. It continues the process in silence, hidden beneath miles of water. The deep ocean, far from being empty, is alive with origins repeated, a mirror of what life once was, and perhaps what it will be again on other worlds. If life could begin here, in darkness and pressure, It means existence needs little to thrive, only energy, structure, and time. That idea changes everything. It suggests that life is not rare, but inevitable. Not fragile, but determined. The universe itself seems to favor the spark of persistence. So the next time you see the calm blue of the ocean, remember that beneath it lies a fire still burning, a world unseen, where the planet breathes through stone, and where life first learned the rhythm of survival. When the world freezes, most life falls silent, but hidden within the stillness are creatures that have mastered the art of waiting. In forests and tundras, under layers of snow and ice, frogs, insects, and tiny invertebrates endure the impossible surviving winter by freezing solid. The North American wood frog is one such miracle. As the temperature drops, its body begins to freeze. Ice crystals form between its cells, the heart stops, and blood ceases to flow. By all definitions, it should be dead, and yet it lives. The secret lies in chemistry. Its liver floods the bloodstream with glucose, a natural antifreeze that protects the delicate cells from bursting. When spring returns, the frog thaws, its heart beats again, and it hops away as though waking from a long dream. This frozen patience is not unique. Insects and tiny crustaceans perform similar feats, their bodies infused with compounds that guard against ice damage. Some species survive temperatures far below zero, suspended in a quiet stillness that can last for months or even years. When warmth returns, they resume their lives, untouched by the cold that would end almost any other creature. It is as though Earth has written into their bodies the ability to pause time itself. This biological magic, known as cryptobiosis, blurs the line between life and death. Within it, metabolism nearly stops, but the potential for revival remains. The tiniest spark of chemistry, a few drops of water, a whisper of heat is enough to bring movement back. In the deep tundra, seeds sleep in frozen soil, waiting centuries for sunlight. In mountain lakes, microscopic beings drift beneath layers of ice, preserved like memories of summer. Even in your own breath, there are microbes that can endure freezing, thawing, and freezing again. Their secret is not strength, but adaptability, the quiet intelligence of life, responding to change with stillness rather than struggle. It is a humbling thought that survival sometimes means not moving at all. In nature, stillness is not defeat. It is strategy, the wisdom of waiting until the world is kind again. So tonight, as the cold of the universe surrounds this small blue planet, imagine that same patience within you, the ability to rest, to pause, and to begin again when warmth returns. Because even in silence, life never stops dreaming. Far below the reach of sunlight lies another realm of life, a world where darkness is not emptiness, but energy. Here, in the deep ocean and in the hidden veins of the earth, entire ecosystems thrive without a single ray of light. They are powered by chemosynthesis, the ancient process that turns chemistry into life. Imagine descending through the ocean, layer by layer, until light disappears entirely. The water grows cold, pressure builds, and the color blue fades to black. Yet even here, at depths where silence reigns, the sea glows with its own faint fire. Around hydrothermal vents, blind crabs scuttle over mineral spires, and tube worms sway in invisible currents. Their world is lit not by the sun, but by the glow of reaction, bacteria converting toxic gases into sustenance. These microbes are the architects of a food chain that defies our understanding of survival. They take the Earth's breath, the hydrogen sulfide rising from the crust, and weave it into the thread of existence. From that thread emerge entire communities, worms with blood the color of rubies, ghostly fish with translucent skin, shrimp that navigate without eyes. It is as if the planet itself has built its own garden in the dark. And the miracle does not end at the ocean floor. Deep underground, far from any sea, there are caves where life follows the same pattern. In the hidden labyrinths of limestone, bacteria thrive on minerals alone, feeding from rock and air. Some of these organisms have not seen the surface for millions of years, yet they continue, silent and steady, reshaping stone one molecule at a time. To humans, darkness often feels like absence, but to nature, it is an opportunity. In the absence of sunlight, life discovers new ways to see. Some cave-dwelling creatures lose their eyes altogether, their other senses becoming exquisitely refined. They feel the flow of air, the tremor of footsteps, the shift of moisture. Others develop luminous organs, small beacons to guide their movement or attract a mate. Even in shadow, life finds its light. These ecosystems teach us something profound, that the source of existence is not always what we expect. The sun, magnificent as it is not the only giver of life. The planet itself carries energy in its core: heat, minerals, and motion, all waiting to be transformed into the pulse of being. Wherever there is energy, there can be life. Astronomers searching the cosmos now look for the same conditions beyond Earth. The icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn, the subsurface oceans of Europa and Enceladus. There, plumes of vapor rise from cracks in the ice, just like the vents of our own ocean. And if Earth's darkness can glow with life, perhaps theirs can too. In this way, the deep ocean is not just our planet's hidden heart. It is a mirror of possibility. It whispers a truth both simple and vast, that life needs no sunlight to flourish, no sky to begin, no surface to call home. It only needs balance, the meeting of chemistry and time, heat and patience. So the next time you look into the night and see only blackness, remember that darkness is not the opposite of life. It is its other half, the canvas on which creation continues, unseen yet eternal. Because even in the deepest shadow, the earth is still dreaming. In the endless blue of the ocean, there drifts a creature older than trees, older than mountains, older even than most continents. The jellyfish, a being so simple it seems like living water, has floated through Earth's seas for more than 500 million years. It has survived every mass extinction, every reshaping of the planet, and still pulses softly through the tides of time. Their design is astonishing in its simplicity. No brain, no bones, no heart, just a transparent body, 95% water, moving with the rhythm of the current. They are creatures of pure instinct, powered by the faint contractions of a bell-shaped form. Yet, in that elegant motion lies perfection. Nature has not needed to alter them. In the deep and shallow waters alike, jellyfish have remained what they were: delicate, luminous, and eternal. Imagine one drifting in the black depths, its body glowing faintly with bioluminescent light. The edges of its bell shimmer blue, green, or violet as it pulses upward, feeding on invisible plankton. To watch it is to look into deep time, a living echo of an ancient Earth, when life was still young and oceans were the planet's cradle. Jellyfish are like memories the planet refuses to forget. Some species can even turn back time. The immortal jellyfish, Turritopsis dohrnii, has the astonishing ability to revert its cells to an earlier stage of life. When injured or threatened, it transforms itself back into a polyp, its juvenile form, and begins again. This biological rebirth can repeat indefinitely, making it effectively ageless. For scientists, it's a clue to one of the universe's greatest mysteries: how life resists decay. But jellyfish are not just passive drifters. In the vast currents of the sea, they sometimes gather in blooms, immense gatherings so large they can be seen from space. They rise and fall with the seasons, appearing suddenly like waves of light. Their presence shapes ecosystems, feeding turtles and fish, while also reminding us that beauty can be both fragile and overwhelming. To many ancient cultures, jellyfish were symbols of immortality and patience. In Japanese art, they represented the persistence of spirit. In Greek myth, they were connected to the sea's power to both give and take. Modern science sees them as survivors, life forms that found the perfect balance between complexity and endurance. In their silent motion, there is a rhythm older than language. Every pulse, every drift, every luminous glow tells the same story. That survival is not always about struggle. Sometimes it is about harmony. Jellyfish do not fight the current, they become one with it. They travel where the sea takes them, carried not by force but by acceptance. Perhaps there is a lesson there that to endure, we do not always need to resist. The earth has shown us again and again that stillness can be strength, that yielding can be wisdom. To drift is not to be lost. It is to move in tune with something greater. So when you imagine the ancient oceans, picture the jellyfish quiet, translucent, endless, moving with the tide as it has since time began. It has seen the birth of continents, the extinction of giants, the rise of humankind, and it keeps moving. It is a messenger from a time before memory, a reminder that life's most perfect designs are not those that fight the current, but those that float with it. Deep beneath the crust of the earth, where sunlight has never reached and no oxygen can survive, entire kingdoms of life are at work, patient, invisible, and ancient. Here, microbes feed on stone. They draw their energy not from plants or light, but from the minerals of the planet itself. They are called lithotrophs, meaning rock eaters. To most living things, rock is inert, cold, lifeless, impossible to consume. But to these microorganisms, it is a feast of electrons waiting to be harvested. They strip energy from iron, sulfur, or even uranium, transforming chemistry into motion, metabolism, and growth. In the deepest cracks of the crust, kilometers below our feet, these beings survive in complete isolation. Scientists have drilled into mines and boreholes and found life where it should not be. Bacteria quietly existing under immense pressure, feeding on the slow reaction of water and stone. These microbes live at a rhythm beyond our comprehension. Some divide only once every 100 years. Others drift in near silence, their metabolism reduced to the barest whisper of survival. Yet even here, life persists. This hidden biosphere is vast, perhaps larger in biomass than all the oceans combined. If you could see through the rock beneath you, you would find layers of microbial civilizations, billions of years old, reshaping the planet grain by grain. They breathe metals, exhale minerals, and leave behind subtle fingerprints in the stones that surround them. Over eons, these traces have changed the chemistry of entire continents. It is possible that without them, the atmosphere itself would not exist as we know it. The idea that creatures live by eating rocks seems alien, and yet it might be one of the oldest ways to live in the universe. Before plants, before sunlight, before oxygen, there were these quiet miners in the dark. They represent what life may have looked like on the earliest Earth, small, resilient, and self-sufficient. To study them is to look backward in time, to glimpse what the dawn of existence might have been, and perhaps they are also a glimpse of our future discoveries. When scientists search for life beyond our planet on Mars or on the icy moons of Jupiter, they look for the same clues. Minerals that have been subtly altered, chemical reactions that suggest biology hidden in stone. If life ever existed on another world, it might not have shimmered in sunlight or swum through oceans. It might have waited in darkness, feeding on metal, just as these microbes do beneath our feet. There is something profoundly humbling in that thought, that the roots of life may be found not in lush forests or coral reefs, but in the silent patience of rock. It tells us that life's true nature is not complexity, but persistence. It adapts, reshapes, and endures in places we would never imagine. Next time you walk across a mountain or hold a stone in your hand, remember, it is not dead. It carries the quiet breath of the planet, the echo of unseen life that has been thriving for billions of years. To the earth, every rock is alive in its own way, slowly changing, slowly giving, feeding the story of existence molecule by molecule. Beneath the stillness, beneath the silence, the planet lives and the stones remember. Across the ages, while oceans rise and mountains fade, certain beings endure, patient witnesses to the slow breathing of the planet. In their presence, time stretches and softens. They are the ancient survivors of earth trees, grasses, and colonies that have persisted for thousands, even tens of thousands of years. In the frozen shallows of the Arctic Ocean, a meadow of seagrass quietly sways beneath the waves. Each blade may appear ordinary, but together they form one of the oldest living organisms on the planet. Posidonia oceanica, a clonal colony that has been alive for more than 10 millennia. It reproduces not by seed, but by spreading roots that clone themselves endlessly, creating a living carpet of green that has watched civilizations rise and fall above the sea. On land, the story continues. In the mountains of Utah, an aspen forest called Pando covers more than 40 hectares, thousands of individual trunks, all part of a single root system. Every stem you see, every leaf that shimmers in the wind, belongs to the same ancient being. Genetic studies suggest that this organism could be over 12,000 years old. It has outlasted glaciers, droughts, and fires, renewing itself continuously, generation after generation. When one trunk falls, another rises in its place, a rhythm of death and renewal as natural as the seasons themselves. Such longevity challenges our sense of life and time. We often think of age in human terms, years, decades, centuries. But for these silent giants, time is not something to count. It is something to grow through. A tree's memory is written not in thought, but in rings concentric echoes of each passing year, recording drought, rainfall, fire, and peace. In their wood lies a history of the earth itself. The patience of these beings is almost unimaginable. The bristlecone pines of North America have stood for nearly 5,000 years, twisted by wind and carved by ice, yet still alive. Their bark is rough and gnarled, their cores hollow, but each spring they send out fresh needles. Even as parts of them die, other parts continue to live a slow, eternal compromise between decay and endurance. They are not immortal, but close enough to make mortality feel like a human invention. To walk among such trees is to stand in the company of time itself. The air feels thicker, quieter, as though the forest holds its breath. Every sound seems older there. You begin to understand that longevity in nature is not stubbornness, it is cooperation. These organisms do not fight against change, they grow with it. Their secret is renewal, the quiet art of persistence. Some of the planet's oldest beings are not even visible from above. Deep in the soil, fungal colonies stretch across kilometers, weaving networks that connect entire forests. These mycelial webs act as the planet's circulatory system, transmitting nutrients, warnings, and memory. One such organism, a honey fungus in Oregon, covers nearly 10 square kilometers larger than any animal that has ever lived. It is estimated to be thousands of years old, perhaps older than recorded history. Though it moves at the pace of seasons, its influence touches every root, every leaf, every drop of rain that seeps through its domain. In these stories, the earth reveals its truest rhythm, one of renewal through patience. Life does not rush toward progress, it simply endures. Every ancient tree, every enduring root system, every fungal thread is a chapter in the same long chronicle, one that tells us that the key to survival is not strength, but continuity. Perhaps, in our own way, we are part of that same rhythm. We live briefly, but we inherit the breath of those who came before, the oxygen made by their leaves, the soil enriched by their roots. We are the newest ring on a very old tree, the latest whisper in an ancient forest. So, when you stand beneath an old tree or walk across a meadow that seems timeless, pause for a moment. You are standing not just on the surface of the earth, but within the memory of life itself. A memory written slowly, in green, in silence, in endurance. Beneath our feet, a silent intelligence is at work, a vast network connecting roots, trees, and soil in an unseen web of exchange. This is the mycelium, the underground world of fungi, a living network so complex it mirrors the structure of the human brain and even the cosmic web of galaxies. It is the hidden pulse of forests, the invisible architect of balance. Every handful of soil contains kilometers of fungal threads, delicate filaments called hyphae, thinner than a strand of hair yet capable of stretching for miles. These filaments weave through earth and stone, linking trees into communities. Through them, a forest breathes as one. Nutrients flow from tree to tree, warnings of drought, insects, or disease ripple through the ground like whispers in a secret language. Scientists call it the Wood Wide Web, a vast communication network that ensures the health and harmony of ecosystems. In this underground world, the boundaries between individuals dissolve. A dying tree sends its last energy through the network to feed seedlings nearby. Young saplings, shaded from sunlight, receive carbon and minerals from older, established trees. Fungi act as messengers and mediators, balancing the exchange of resources so that life continues. It is not competition that sustains the forest, it is cooperation. Some fungi form mutual partnerships with roots, wrapping them in a fine sheath and extending their reach into distant soil. Others act as recyclers, breaking down fallen wood and leaves, turning decay into nourishment. Without fungi, forests would suffocate beneath their own weight of debris. Every tree that falls becomes part of the circle, its matter reborn through fungal alchemy. In this way, death itself becomes a gift. But mycelium is not only the caretaker of forests, it is also a memory keeper. Fungal networks remember the pathways of past nutrient flows. When seasons change or disasters strike, they adjust their distribution with astonishing precision, recalling where life once thrived. This subtle awareness, a kind of organic intelligence, is what allows forests to recover after fire or drought. Scientists have only begun to understand the depth of this hidden world. Beneath every step we take lies a living labyrinth of connection, one that has existed for hundreds of millions of years. Mycelium networks link plants to each other, to bacteria, and even to animals that burrow through the soil. Together, they form the planet's oldest communication system. There is something poetic in knowing that beneath every forest path, there exists a quiet conversation, a web of gratitude, warning, and sharing. When you walk through the woods, you are not just surrounded by life above ground, you are walking upon a living mind below. Each step echoes through that network, felt in ways we cannot perceive. This hidden intelligence challenges the way we see the world. We often think of nature as a collection of separate parts, trees, animals, soil, air. But the earth does not work in parts. It works as one body, one consciousness distributed through countless forms. The mycelium is its neural tissue, a reminder that connection, not isolation, is the foundation of existence. Perhaps the lesson of the fungi is this, that strength lies not in standing alone, but in being part of something larger. A forest does not survive because each tree competes. It thrives because each tree listens. Beneath the silence, a conversation continues unbroken, invisible, and eternal. So the next time you see mushrooms sprouting after rain, think of them not as isolated beings, but as the brief surface blooms of a hidden empire. The true organism lies beneath, vast, ancient, and alive. And like the stars above us, it reminds us that connection is the pattern of life itself. If you've felt wonder in this quiet world beneath the soil, take a moment to share it with someone you love, or perhaps with the earth itself, because in understanding the unseen, we begin to remember our place in the living network we call home. You are not one being, you are an ecosystem. Within your body lives an invisible universe of organisms, bacteria, fungi, viruses, and archaea, all coexisting, all playing their part in the symphony of your survival. For every human cell you carry, there are at least as many microbial companions, quietly shaping who you are. This collective is called the microbiome, and it is one of the most astonishing examples of partnership in nature. From the moment you are born, life gathers around you. Microbes settle on your skin, in your mouth, in your lungs, and deep within your intestines. Some arrive through food, some from touch, some carried by the very air you breathe. Over time, this community evolves uniquely within you, billions of tiny lives, forming a vast, dynamic city. Inside that city, balance is everything. There are builders and recyclers, defenders and communicators. Together, they maintain harmony within your body's ecosystem. In your gut alone, there are more than 100 trillion microbes, a population 10 times greater than the number of human beings who have ever lived on Earth. They digest food, extract nutrients, train your immune system, and even influence your emotions. Recent studies have shown that the microbiome can affect mood, decision-making, and stress levels. When you feel calm, your inner world hums in equilibrium. When you are anxious or unwell, that delicate harmony falters, and the whole network feels it. It is a humbling reminder that we are never truly alone. Even within the borders of your own body, existence is a collaboration. Your cells provide shelter and resources. In return, microbes help you live. They protect against disease, communicate through chemicals, and adapt faster than any human cell can. Some species can double their population in minutes, evolving with astonishing speed to match the changing environment inside you. This relationship has been unfolding for millions of years. Long before humans existed, microbial ancestors were already experimenting with cooperation. They formed alliances with larger cells, merging into partnerships that eventually gave rise to plants, animals, and people. Mitochondria, the tiny powerhouses inside our cells, are the descendants of ancient bacteria that joined forces with early life. In a sense, your body is not a single organism but a collective inheritance of countless ancient unions. To see yourself this way changes everything. You are not a singular identity sealed within skin. You are a landscape of collaboration, a living planet made of billions of interdependent beings. Each breath, each heartbeat, each thought is supported by a quiet multitude working in perfect synchrony. When you eat, they transform food into energy. When you sleep, they repair the systems that keep you alive. When you breathe, they breathe with you. This interconnectedness echoes the structure of the world outside. Just as forests share nutrients through fungal networks and oceans depend on microscopic plankton, your body mirrors the planet itself. You are a microcosm of the Earth, an ecosystem of ecosystems, bound together by cooperation and trust. Sometimes, in moments of stillness, it is worth imagining that inner world, vast plains of microscopic life, currents of chemistry flowing like rivers, and cities of cells communicating in silence. Within you, the same principles that guide forests, reefs, and galaxies are at play, life organizing itself through harmony, resilience, and balance. So, when you next take a deep breath, remember, you are breathing not just for yourself, but for a multitude. Every cell, every microbe, every unseen companion joins in that single act. You are not a solitary being adrift in the world, you are the world, condensed into form. And perhaps that is the quiet truth of all existence, that every life, no matter how small, contributes to the great pattern of being. Even within, we are many, and together, we are whole. There are creatures on Earth that carry within them a secret. Humans have long dreamed of the ability to rebuild themselves. They are the masters of regeneration, beings that can regrow what has been lost, heal without scars, and even reverse injury that would be fatal to most life. To watch them is to glimpse the quiet art of biological rebirth. One of the most remarkable of these creatures is the axolotl, sometimes called the Mexican walking fish, though it is in truth a salamander, a soft-bodied amphibian with feathery gills that wave like underwater lace. When an axolotl is injured, it does not simply heal. It replaces lost limbs, spinal tissue, parts of the heart, and even sections of the brain can regrow perfectly, without deformity. Within weeks, what was destroyed becomes whole again. It is as though its body remembers the blueprint of itself and simply reassembles the design. Scientists have studied this creature for generations, searching for the molecular instructions that make such renewal possible. Inside the axolotl's cells are switches that unlock dormant potential genes that, in humans, lie mostly silent. When activated, ordinary cells revert to a more flexible state, much like the stem cells that once shaped an embryo. Then, guided by chemical signals, they rebuild tissue, bone, and nerve in exact detail. The process is slow, deliberate, and astonishingly precise. But regeneration is not limited to the axolotl. Planarian flatworms, simple beings with ribbon-like bodies, can regrow their entire form from a single fragment. Cut one into pieces, and each piece becomes a complete worm, identical to the original. Their secret lies in pluripotent cells scattered throughout their body cells that hold the potential to become anything. It is as if the memory of the whole lives within every part. Even among vertebrates, echoes of this power remain. Starfish regrow arms, lizards can regenerate tails. Some species of frogs can repair organs damaged by freezing. And human beings, too, carry fragments of this gift. Our livers can regenerate. Our bones mend. Our skin renews itself every few weeks. Within us, though limited, still burns the ancient spark of self-restoration. To regenerate is not just to rebuild, but to begin again. It is a biological metaphor for something deeper, the ability to recover from loss, to reshape after destruction, to find form in the aftermath of change. Nature does not mourn what it loses. It transforms it. From the death of a branch grows new leaves. From the fall of a forest comes fertile soil. The planet itself regenerates with each cycle: destruction, feeding creation, fire paving the way for bloom. The axolotl, with its perpetual youth and unending renewal, reminds us that life does not move in straight lines. It moves in circles, returning, revising, rebuilding. Where humans see endings, nature sees openings. Every scar is an instruction to begin anew. Imagine if we carried the same faith within ourselves, not in the literal sense of regrowing flesh, but in the quiet conviction that what is broken can be remade. That loss does not mean absence, but potential. That decay is simply another form of preparation. In the still water where axolotls drift, surrounded by silence and light, there is no urgency, no struggle, only the gentle repetition of creation. They show us that renewal is not a miracle reserved for the rare, it is the rhythm of existence itself. So, if you ever feel undone, remember this. Somewhere in a lake beneath the mountains of Mexico, a small creature continues to regrow its world, piece by piece. It does not hurry, it does not fear. It simply knows that life, given time, always finds its way back to wholeness. Power often hides in the smallest forms. In the stillness of the ocean or the hum of the air, there are creatures so tiny they could rest upon your fingertip, yet they can unleash energies that rival stars. They are reminders that strength is not a matter of size, but of design. Consider the pistol shrimp, a creature only a few centimeters long. It carries a single oversized claw, and when it snaps that claw shut, it fires a jet of water faster than the blink of an eye. The movement creates a bubble, and as that bubble collapses, it releases a shock wave so intense that it can stun or kill prey instantly. For a brief moment, the temperature inside the bubble reaches hotter than the surface of the sun, and a flash of light flares in the water. This is not science fiction. It is nature's own physics, performed by an animal no larger than your thumb. Across the ocean floor, entire colonies of pistol shrimp create symphonies of crackling sound, a constant crackle of energy beneath the waves. Sailors once mistook it for the static of storms at sea, unaware that it was the collective heartbeat of millions of tiny claws echoing through the depths. Nature seems to delight in such paradoxes, immense power hidden in miniature design. The mantis shrimp is another master of impossible force. Its club-like appendages strike with the acceleration of a bullet, strong enough to shatter the shells of crabs or even aquarium glass. The impact creates cavitation bubbles, flashes of light, and bursts of heat, a microcosmic explosion of power and precision. Yet the mantis shrimp's wonder doesn't end there. Its eyes are among the most complex in the animal kingdom, capable of perceiving ultraviolet, polarized, and multispectral light, a rainbow invisible to us. To the mantis shrimp, the ocean is not blue. It is a living prism, filled with colors we cannot imagine. Such creatures remind us that the universe loves efficiency, that the smallest engines can hold the greatest energy. The shrimp, the beetle, the hummingbird, even the cell, all are demonstrations of energy perfectly harnessed to form and purpose. Life is not wasteful, it invests precisely what is needed. Every organism, from the humblest microbe to the largest whale, is a design refined by billions of years of adaptation. This idea extends beyond the physical. Power in nature often expresses itself quietly. The most enduring structures, coral reefs, fungal webs, microbial mats, are built not through force, but through persistence. Grain by grain, pulse by pulse, they shape the world. The ocean, too, wields its strength not by aggression, but by rhythm tides carving stone, waves sculpting continents. It is a different kind of strength, patient, infinite, and unstoppable. We live in a culture that equates strength with domination, with being louder, faster, more visible. But nature shows another truth, that real power is sustainable, subtle, and deeply aware of balance. The pistol shrimp cannot fire endlessly. It must rest, rebuild, and realign. The mantis shrimp's strike is fierce but measured, evolved to achieve maximum impact with minimal waste. Every burst of energy is part of a greater equilibrium. Perhaps there's wisdom for us in that pattern. We, too, are creatures of energy, emotional, mental, physical, and the way we use it defines the harmony of our lives. Nature teaches that strength without restraint burns itself out. The sun shines because it gives away its fire gradually. The ocean endures because it flows, not fights. So when you think of power, think of the pistol shrimp and its flash beneath the waves. Think of the mantis shrimp's unseen rainbow vision. Power need not roar. It can whisper, flicker, and vanish, yet still reshape the world. The universe does not measure strength by size or noise, but by endurance, precision, and purpose. In every drop of water, every pulse of light, every beating heart, energy flows never wasted, only transformed. That is the quiet genius of nature. It does not hoard power, it circulates it endlessly. And in that endless exchange, life glows. The world is filled with travelers, creatures who cross continents, climb unseen paths through the air, or dive across entire oceans, guided by senses we can scarcely imagine. Their journeys seem impossible, yet each one follows a pattern written into the living map of the earth. It is a form of navigation older than memory, an instinct woven through evolution itself. Consider the migrating birds, tiny bodies, fragile bones, yet capable of traversing thousands of kilometers without pause. The Arctic tern, no larger than your hand, journeys from one pole of the planet to the other and back again each year, a round trip of more than 70,000 kilometers. In a lifetime, it may fly the equivalent of 3 trips to the moon and back. What guides it across this endless sky? Scientists have discovered that birds can sense the Earth's magnetic field, reading invisible lines of force as though they were maps etched into the air. Some even see these magnetic fields as faint, glowing patterns overlaying the landscape. For them, the entire planet hums with direction. Other travelers find their path in light. Many species of bats use polarized twilight to orient themselves before the stars appear, interpreting the fading sun as a compass in motion. And when the night deepens, some rely on the stars themselves. The indigo bunting, a small songbird, learns the position of constellations during youth and navigates by them as surely as sailors once did. The universe becomes their GPS, written not in numbers but in memory. Across the sea, another form of intelligence moves through the waves. Dolphins, social and brilliant, live in communities bound by sound. Each dolphin has a signature whistle, a name unique to itself. They call to one another across the water, recognizing individuals even after years apart. It is more than communication, it is identity. They know who they are and who is missing. When separated, they call each other's names until the sea answers back. The elephants of the savannah carry a different kind of awareness. With ears like great receivers, they can detect the low rumble of storms hundreds of kilometers away. They feel the tremors of distant thunder through the ground and begin to move long before the rain arrives. Scientists believe they communicate in similar infrasonic tones, vibrations too low for us to hear, carrying messages across vast landscapes. These deep calls hold meaning. Directions to water, warnings of danger, even comfort for the grieving. To stand near an elephant herd and feel the earth hum is to sense the planet speaking in frequencies older than speech itself. In all these species, one truth emerges. Awareness is not exclusive to humans. Intelligence is not only measured by tools or words. It lives in instinct, in memory, in connection. The Arctic tern reading the curve of the globe, the dolphin calling across the waves, the elephant feeling the rain before it falls, all are expressions of understanding shaped by the Earth's subtle patterns. Their migrations and communications are not just acts of survival, they are acts of trust. The bird trusts the sky, the dolphin trusts the sound, the elephant trusts the distant tremor beneath its feet. Each one moves in harmony with something larger than itself, a rhythm that guides not through reasoning, but through belonging. Perhaps that is the deeper intelligence of nature, not to control the world, but to be attuned to it. We build maps and satellites to find our way, but the world's oldest travelers navigate with something far more profound: alignment. They do not move against the planet's currents, they move with them. So the next time you look up at a migrating flock, tracing patterns across the twilight, or hear the echo of a whale's distant song, remember, they are following pathways older than humanity. Their roots are written not on paper, but in the magnetic pulse of the earth, in the tilt of the sun, in the whisper of waves and wind. We, too, are travelers bound to the same planet, guided by the same invisible fields, searching always for home. And maybe, like them, we already know the way. We just have to remember how to listen. In the stillness of night, the planet comes alive with light and sound, languages that shimmer, pulse, and echo across air and water. From the depths of the ocean to the quiet forests of summer, countless beings communicate in ways both delicate and dazzling. To them, the dark is not emptiness. It is a canvas for connection. Beneath the waves, humpback whales sing songs that travel hundreds of kilometers through the sea. These haunting melodies rise and fall in long, deliberate patterns, each phrase repeated with care. But what fascinates scientists most is not the beauty of these songs, it's how they evolve. Every year, a new melody spreads among whale populations, as if the oceans themselves are passing along verses of a shared symphony. Old notes fade, new ones emerge, and over time, the music transforms. It is the first known example of cultural evolution in a non-human species. The sea itself becomes a memory, carrying songs older than our civilizations. In the shallows and reefs, dolphins weave their own orchestra, whistles, clicks, and bursts of sound that form intricate conversations. They recognize each other by name, coordinate hunts with precision, and comfort one another with tones of empathy. When one is injured, others gather near, their calls lowering in pitch, as if speaking softly. Communication here is not just survival, it is care. Far from the water, in humid summer air, light becomes a language. On still nights in Southeast Asia and the Great Smoky Mountains, fireflies transform the forest into a breathing constellation. At first, their flashes seem random, but then, slowly, they synchronize thousands of tiny lanterns pulsing together in perfect rhythm. Each blink is a signal, a call for a mate, but when their patterns align, it becomes something greater, a living heartbeat of light. Scientists believe this synchronization helps them stand out against the noise of the night. But to anyone watching, it feels like a kind of poetry. In the deep ocean, where sunlight never reaches, bioluminescent creatures speak through glow. Tiny planktons scatter like starlight across the water. Anglerfish dangle luminous lures to draw prey. Jellyfish pulse with neon rings, while lantern sharks shimmer green along their undersides, camouflaged against the faint light from above. Down there, light is more than beauty, it's communication, attraction, and defense. The darkness becomes alive with signal and purpose. Even on land, life uses invisible channels to speak. Trees send chemical messages through the air when bitten by insects, warning their neighbors to toughen their leaves. Flowers adjust their nectar flow when they sense approaching bees. Bats and moths engage in a silent battle of frequencies, each adapting its sound and hearing to outwit the other. Every living thing speaks not with words, but with rhythm. When humans first learned to look at nature with instruments, we thought the world was quiet. But as our tools improved, we discovered what our senses had missed. The earth is a chorus. The soil hums with electrical signals. Coral reefs crackle like living static. Even roots whisper in frequencies too low for us to hear. What we call silence is only sound beyond our perception. To listen to the planet is to hear a harmony both vast and intimate. The whale's song resonates through water like a cello through time. The firefly's light flickers like a pulse from the stars. Each form of communication, sonic, chemical, luminous, reminds us that connection is not a human invention. It is the default language of life. Perhaps that's why we find such peace in nature's sounds, waves, rain, wind, the chirping of crickets. They are echoes of a system that has been communicating for billions of years. We are not outside that dialogue. We are part of it, our own heartbeats syncing to the pulse of the planet. If you stand in the dark, under a sky full of stars or beside an ocean that breathes light, try to listen beyond what you can hear. Somewhere in that vastness, a whale is singing. Somewhere else, a forest is blinking in rhythm. And somewhere within you, your cells are answering back softly, steadily in the universal language of life. To disappear is one of nature's greatest arts. In the vast theater of survival, countless creatures have mastered the ability to vanish, not through magic, but through perfect understanding of light and form. Camouflage, transparency, and mimicry are languages of invisibility, written in colors, patterns, and movement. To see them at work is to witness evolution's most subtle genius. In the open sea, where there are no trees, rocks, or shadows to hide behind, survival demands innovation. Some of the most extraordinary performers in this invisible drama are the squid. Their skin is a living screen, covered in specialized cells called chromatophores, iridophores, and leucophores, pigments, reflectors, and scatterers of light. With these, a squid can shift its color and texture in an instant, from the soft shimmer of moonlight to the mottled pattern of coral or sand. It can vanish into the background or flare into color to signal alarm. Each change is a precise conversation between the creature and its surroundings. Some squid take this mastery even further. Species like the glass squid or the cranchid can become nearly transparent, scattering light in ways that make their bodies indistinguishable from the water around them. Others can redirect light, using microscopic crystals to bend wavelengths and disappear completely in the open ocean. Their invisibility is not absence, it is perfect adaptation, the art of being unseen by choice. In the coral reefs and shallow bays, a different kind of illusion unfolds. Octopuses, the relatives of squid, are shapeshifters of astonishing intelligence. With a body of pure muscle and mind, they can change not only color, but also form, flattening against rock, imitating coral, or curling into shapes that mimic poisonous fish. Their camouflage is not passive, it is active creativity. They see, decide, and transform. One moment they are visible, the next, they melt into the reef, leaving only the faint ripple of disturbed sand. To watch an octopus vanish is to watch thought become invisibility. Even among predators, invisibility has its uses. The lantern shark, a small deep-sea species, glows with bioluminescent light along its belly. To human eyes, this seems like a beacon, yet in the dim twilight zone of the ocean, it acts as camouflage. The shark's glow perfectly matches the faint light filtering down from the surface, erasing its shadow from below. To prey looking upward, it simply disappears. In this world of liquid night, light becomes both shield and weapon. On land, camouflage takes other forms. The leaf-tailed gecko of Madagascar clings to bark with skin that mimics tree lichen so precisely that even a close observer may miss it. In the Arctic, the snowshoe hare and the ptarmigan transform their coats, with the seasons brown in summer, white in winter, blending perfectly with forest floor and snowdrift. Even some insects, like stickbugs and mantises, have evolved bodies so similar to leaves and branches that wind itself completes their disguise. These are not coincidences, They are expressions of deep time, millions of years of refinement guided by the simple need to endure. Camouflage reveals a truth that resonates beyond biology, that invisibility is not weakness, it is wisdom. To survive, one need not always be seen. Sometimes, the greatest power lies in silence and subtlety. The squid that disappears into the blue, the gecko hidden in bark, the shark erased by light, all are artists of restraint, painting themselves into the background of existence. Yet invisibility is also paradoxical. To hide perfectly is to become part of something larger, the landscape itself. These creatures are not separate from their environments, they are extensions of them. When the octopus blends into coral, it becomes coral. When the hair turns white, it becomes snow. Nature blurs the boundaries between self and world until the distinction vanishes. Perhaps, in this, there is a reflection for us. In our search for recognition, we often forget the grace of blending in, of belonging quietly to the world around us. The forest, the sea, the sky, they do not seek attention, yet they hold infinite beauty. To move unseen, to exist without disruption, is not to disappear, but to harmonize. So when you think of invisibility, think not of absence, but of unity, the art of becoming one with everything that surrounds you. The squid dissolving into shadow, the shark fading into light, the snow hare vanishing into winter, all remind us that sometimes the most profound presence is the one that leaves no trace. In the frozen blackness of the North Atlantic, where ice drifts like slow-moving clouds and light fades to eternal twilight, there lives a creature that redefines the concept of time. The Greenland shark, enormous, ancient, and slow, glides through the depths with a patience that borders on eternity. Radiocarbon dating of its eye tissue has revealed individuals over 400 years old, making it the longest living vertebrate ever known. When the first of these sharks was born, human beings were writing with quills, and the night sky was still a mystery mapped by myth. The Greenland shark's body tells the story of time itself. It grows just a few centimeters each year, moving so slowly that the water around it seems almost still. Its metabolism is a whisper, its pulse deliberate and unhurried. In those cold depths, where temperatures hover near freezing, every process of life, growth, movement, thought stretches into the pace of centuries. Time bends there, softens, flows differently. Unlike the predators we know from warmer seas, these sharks do not chase. They drift. Their flesh contains compounds that act like natural antifreeze, allowing them to survive in conditions that would kill most life. Many are blind, their eyes clouded by small parasitic worms that glow faintly in the dark, eerie lanterns for creatures that have no need of sight. Yet, in their blindness, they navigate perfectly through the slow current of ages. To imagine what such a life feels like is almost impossible. Each Greenland shark may live through the rise and fall of empires, through generations of trees growing and dying on the continents above. The ocean around them changes, the surface warms and cools, the ice advances and retreats, and still, the shark moves forward, indifferent to haste. It is not a creature of years, but of epochs. We often measure life by how quickly it burns the beating of a hummingbird's wings, the rush of a heartbeat, the speed of change. But the Greenland shark is the opposite of that rhythm. It exists in a state of endless waiting, proof that life can thrive in slowness. Its heart may beat only a few times per minute. Its journey, from birth to maturity, can take more than a century. In the vastness of its world, there is no rush, no competition, only persistence. Such beings remind us that longevity is not a gift of abundance, but of restraint. The shark's slow metabolism, its cold blood, its tranquil drift through the abyss, these are not limitations but strategies. In the deep ocean, energy is scarce, and survival belongs to those who conserve rather than consume. The Greenland shark's life is a meditation on efficiency, a lesson that endurance is not about force, but balance, and it is not alone in its patience. In ancient forests, bristlecone pines stand through millennia of wind and ice, renewing their needles each century. Beneath the Antarctic ice, microbes lie dormant for tens of thousands of years, waking only when warmth returns. In each of these lives, time is elastic. The world may rush around them, but they remain slow witnesses to the planet's turning. There is a kind of peace in that stillness, a reminder that speed is not synonymous with meaning. In the age of noise, perhaps the Greenland shark holds a wisdom we have forgotten, that to live deeply is to move slowly, to breathe once for every 100 breaths of the world, to measure moments not in seconds, but in centuries. If you could drift beside one of these giants, you would see no aggression, no haste, only quiet motion, the grace of age without decay. You would realize that the ocean keeps its greatest secrets not in its fury, but in its silence. The Greenland shark teaches us that time does not destroy, it refines. The longer life lingers, the deeper it becomes. And in that slow glide through the frozen dark, life continues not as a flame that burns bright and dies, but as an ember that never goes out. Life on Earth is not just about motion and growth. It is also about rest, the long, deliberate pauses that allow survival when the world turns harsh. Across deserts, mountains, and frozen tundra, countless creatures and plants have evolved the power to stop, to wait, and to begin again. This rhythm of dormancy is nature's form of meditation, a deep, cellular patience that stretches beyond our sense of time. Consider the lungfish, an ancient creature that bridges the worlds of water and air. When drought drains the rivers and ponds it calls home, the lungfish burrows into the mud. There, it secretes a thin coat of slime that hardens into a cocoon, leaving only a small hole for breathing. Inside, it slows its metabolism to a near halt, surviving on the oxygen it sips through its skin. Months, even years may pass before rain returns, and when it does, the lungfish awakens, breaks free, and swims as if nothing has changed. It is not merely hibernation, but estivation, a waiting game written into the oldest rhythms of the planet. In the Arctic, seeds lie buried under ice for centuries, encased in frost like tiny archives of hope. When the ice melts, they germinate, releasing flowers unseen since before recorded history. Some of these seeds, preserved for over 30,000 years, have been coaxed to life by scientists, small blooms reborn from a time when mammoths still roamed. In that quiet resurrection lies one of nature's most humbling truths, that life never forgets how to begin again. Among animals, the art of dormancy takes many forms. The wood frog, frozen solid through winter, lets its heart stop completely. The marsh frog holds its breath for months beneath the ice, absorbing oxygen through its skin. Deep in the soil, insects and snails withdraw into shells, sealing themselves from the cold. Every heartbeat, every breath becomes a calculation. Conserve, pause, endure. To survive, they do not fight the season, they surrender to it. Even plants, which seem so still to us, practice this same discipline. During winter, deciduous trees shed their leaves not as an act of loss, but of wisdom. By sleeping through the cold, they protect their inner life. Inside each bare branch, sap thickens and slows, roots sink deeper, and the blueprint for spring lies folded, waiting. When warmth returns, life unfurls again, as if the world itself had been holding its breath. In this endless cycle, dormancy is not absence, it is preparation. Stillness becomes strength. By pausing, the living world renews itself. It's a rhythm as old as the tides, as subtle as the beating of your own heart. Even the cells in your body know this truth. Every night, when you sleep, they repair, rebuild, and remember. Rest is not the opposite of life, it is part of it. This patience is a kind of wisdom we often forget. In our pursuit of progress and speed, we measure worth by activity, forgetting that the forest grows in silence and the seed sleeps for decades before sprouting. Nature does not rush toward tomorrow. It waits for the right moment. Every delay, every pause, is purpose in disguise. The earth itself follows this rhythm. After cataclysm and ice age, after fire and flood, it always regrows. Forests return, coral rebuilds, rivers carve new paths. The planet breathes in centuries, not seconds. And perhaps that is what keeps it alive, not the urgency of change, but the grace of renewal. Imagine, for a moment, if we lived the same way, if we allowed ourselves to pause without fear, to rest without guilt, to trust that stillness, too, is movement. The lungfish does not worry when the water fades. The seed does not doubt the spring. They simply wait, knowing that every dormancy ends in bloom. So tonight, if the world feels frozen or silent, remember, beneath the stillness, life is gathering its strength. The quiet you feel is not the end, but the beginning of something vast, preparing to rise again as it always has, and always will. Beneath the shimmering surface of tropical seas lies a city unlike any other, a world of color and motion, of structure and harmony, built not by architects or engineers, but by countless tiny animals working together. This is the coral reef, one of the most extraordinary ecosystems on Earth. It is at once a fortress, a nursery, and a living cathedral, a reminder that greatness often begins at the smallest scale. Corals are not plants, as they might appear, but colonies of tiny creatures called polyps. Each one secretes calcium carbonate, building a small cup of stone around itself. Over years and centuries, these cups accumulate into vast reefs, sprawling structures that can be seen from space. Within their walls live entire kingdoms: fish, crustaceans, mollusks, sea turtles, and countless other forms of life. A quarter of all marine species depend on coral reefs for food or shelter, even though reefs occupy less than 1% of the ocean floor. They are the heartbeats of the sea. But the secret to their success lies in partnership. Each coral polyp lives in symbiosis with microscopic algae called zooxanthellae. The algae provide the coral with food through photosynthesis, while the coral offers them protection and light. It is a mutual trust, an exchange of life for life. When conditions are good, this alliance creates dazzling beauty. When it breaks down, the coral loses its color, turning ghostly white, a phenomenon known as bleaching. Without its partner, it begins to fade, reminding us how fragile balance can be. Swimming through a healthy reef feels like floating through a dream. Schools of fish shimmer like liquid metal. Sea anemones sway in slow motion. Parrotfish nibble at coral, grinding stone into the white sand that forms entire beaches. Cleaner wrasses dart fearlessly into the mouths of larger fish, removing parasites in delicate cooperation. Every movement, every color, every flicker of light is part of a larger choreography, a living harmony that sustains the planet's oceans. The reef is also an archive of time. Each layer of coral skeleton preserves a record of the ocean's chemistry, temperature, and climate. To study a coral core is to read the diary of the sea, its joys, its storms, its long, silent recoveries. Through it, we learn not just about marine life, but about the pulse of the entire planet. Coral reefs remind us of something profound, that strength is built through connection, not isolation. Each polyp alone is fragile, but together they create mountains of stone that resist the tides. Each fish, each algae, each worm plays its part in maintaining the balance. Remove one thread, and the pattern begins to unravel. Nurture the web, and it thrives in beauty and resilience. Even in their fragility, reefs offer hope. In recent years, scientists and divers have begun restoring damaged corals, planting new fragments like gardeners of the sea. Slowly, life returns. Tiny polyps attach themselves to rock and grow outward, weaving the reef back together one breath at a time. It is patient work, delicate, continuous, but the ocean responds. Given care, it always does. Perhaps that is the lesson of coral, that even the smallest acts of cooperation can build something vast, something lasting. The reef does not rush. It grows millimeter by millimeter, generation by generation, until one day it becomes a monument of color and light. We live in an age that often forgets this truth, that creation takes time and harmony takes many hands. Yet, beneath the waves, life continues to prove otherwise. The coral reef is not just a home for fish, it is a metaphor for the planet itself. Billions of lives intertwined, each sustaining the next. So when you think of the ocean, remember the coral. It is not only beauty that lives there, but unity. It teaches us that the world thrives when it builds together, when it shares, when it breathes as one. The reef endures because it does not stand alone. It endures because, like all of life, it understands the ancient law of survival. Nothing exists in isolation. Everything is connected. If the coral reef is the ocean's city, then beneath the soil lies another older, quieter, and equally sophisticated. Here, deep below the surface, ants and termites have been building civilizations long before humans dreamed of architecture. Their colonies are cities of clay and air, of fungus and order, proof that intelligence in nature takes many forms, not all of them visible from above. Consider the leafcutter ants of Central and South America. Each day, millions of them march through the forest in long, shimmering lines, carrying pieces of green leaves like banners. But they don't eat the leaves. Instead, they bring them home to underground chambers where they mulch, tend, and feed them to their true food source, a cultivated fungus. These ants are farmers, practicing agriculture tens of millions of years before humans appeared. They prune diseased crops, fertilize with waste, and protect their fungal gardens using natural antibiotics produced by symbiotic bacteria that live on their bodies. Every member has a role: foragers, gardeners, nurses, soldiers. Together, they maintain a living system as organized and efficient as any human city. Their colonies can stretch for dozens of meters beneath the ground, labyrinths of tunnels and chambers connected by polished highways of soil. Air flows through carefully designed vents, regulating temperature and humidity. Waste is carried to disposal zones. Food is stored in vaults, and the queen rests in a central chamber surrounded by attendants. These tiny engineers build with a precision that defies imagination. From above, the forest seems still. Beneath it, a nation hums with purpose. Termites are no less astonishing. In the savannas of Africa and Australia, they construct mounds that rise 6 meters high, towers of clay that breathe. Their design is a marvel of natural engineering. The walls are porous, drawing in cool air, while the internal tunnels guide heat and carbon dioxide outward. This system keeps the interior stable, a form of natural air conditioning created by instinct and cooperation. Some mounds are so large that they house millions of individuals, each contributing to the collective rhythm. No single termite knows the whole plan, yet together they build cathedrals of earth that rival our greatest monuments. Inside these colonies, life is organized around collective intelligence. There is no central leader giving orders. Instead, each ant or termite responds to chemical signals, pheromones that carry instructions like invisible messages. One worker finds food, leaves a scent trail, and thousands follow. Another detects damage to a tunnel, and within moments, an army of repairers arrives. It is a system of perfect feedback, guided by simplicity, yet capable of complexity beyond comprehension. When scientists simulate these behaviors in algorithms, they find patterns that mirror the foundations of human innovation: decentralized control, adaptive learning, and efficiency born of cooperation. The ants have been solving logistical problems and architectural puzzles for over 50 million years. Quietly, elegantly, without a blueprint. Perhaps what makes these societies so mesmerizing is how seamlessly they blend individual purpose and communal harmony. Every creature is expendable, yet essential. The queen may be the source of life, but she cannot feed herself. The smallest worker may be blind, yet its actions keep the entire city alive. Together, they form a single organism, the colony itself, a living entity that thinks through the movement of millions. And beyond their complexity lies a philosophy of balance. Ants and termites recycle fallen leaves, turn dead wood into soil, and aerate the ground so that plants can breathe. Without them, forests would choke on their own abundance. They are the unseen caretakers of ecosystems, shaping the land molecule by molecule. In their presence, we are reminded that intelligence is not always loud or visible. Sometimes, it moves beneath our feet, quiet and communal, constructing worlds grain by grain. These insects may not write or dream, but they build with purpose, and in their unity, they reflect the same truth found in galaxies, reefs, and roots. The universe thrives through cooperation. So, next time you see a trail of ants crossing the ground, look closer. Within that line marches an entire civilization, organized, ancient, enduring. They ask for nothing. They take only what they need, and they leave behind more life than they consume. In their endless labor, the planet's smallest architects remind us that survival is not conquest, it is collaboration. If we could listen closely enough, even the forests would speak. For though plants appear still and silent, they are not passive. They sense, react, communicate, and remember. Beneath their calm exterior lies a network of awareness, a green intelligence that perceives the world not through eyes or ears, but through chemistry, light, and vibration. For centuries, humans saw plants as background, mere scenery in life's grand design. But modern science has begun to reveal their astonishing complexity. Roots search for water with the precision of explorers, turning toward moisture hidden meters below. Leaves tilt gently through the day, tracking the sun's journey across the sky. Flowers open and close in rhythm with light, temperature, and time. This choreography is not random, it is awareness expressed in growth. When danger comes, plants can send warnings. A leaf bitten by an insect releases volatile compounds into the air, carrying a message to its neighbors: prepare. In response, nearby plants begin to produce bitter chemicals or toughen their tissues, making themselves less appetizing. Some species, like acacia trees, communicate across entire savannas. When giraffes feed on their leaves, the trees release ethylene gas, and others downwind respond within minutes, turning their taste toxic. It is a silent alarm system, older than language. Beneath the soil, communication grows even deeper. Through underground fungal networks, the mycorrhizal web trees exchange nutrients and information. A shaded sapling may receive carbon from an older tree. A mother tree under stress may send extra sugars to her offspring. When one tree falls ill, others sense its distress and adjust their chemistry to defend themselves. This vast underground network mirrors the structure of a brain, complete with pathways for signals, feedback, and memory. The forest, it turns out, is not a collection of individuals, it is a single, connected mind. Plants also remember. In experiments, researchers dropped the sensitive plant Mimosa pudica from a short height repeatedly. At first, its leaves folded in defense, reacting to the shock. But after several harmless drops, the plant stopped closing, having learned that the event was not a threat. Weeks later, it still remembered. This form of learning, without a brain or nervous system, challenges everything we thought we knew about intelligence. Even time itself is something plants can measure. They keep internal clocks that anticipate sunrise and sunset, guiding when to bloom, when to rest, when to release scent or seed. Some species respond to vibrations, not sound as we know it, but frequency. The roots of young corn plants have been shown to grow toward the faint hum of running water. Others adjust their growth in response to touch, the lightest brush of wind or insect feet. Their awareness is subtle but profound. And yet, despite this quiet complexity, plants live without hurry. Their intelligence is not about reaction, but patience. While animals rush and flee, plants endure. They wait through drought and fire, regenerate after storm and frost. In this stillness lies a wisdom we often overlook, the understanding that survival is not always about movement, but resilience. If we could translate their language, we might discover a philosophy of balance. Take sunlight, give oxygen. Take carbon, give shelter. Endure, and grow again. They remind us that existence is not a competition, but a conversation. The tree does not hoard the light, it shares it through shade. The flower does not force the bee, it invites it with sweetness. Every gesture in the plant world is one of exchange. So when you stand beneath a tree, pause for a moment. Listen to the soft creak of branches, the rustle of leaves. Within that sound is the whisper of awareness, a slow, deliberate consciousness that has watched the earth longer than we have walked it. The forest is not silent. It is simply speaking in a language too patient for us to hear. And perhaps that is its lesson, that wisdom is not always loud or quick. Sometimes it grows quietly, root by root, leaf by leaf, speaking through the air itself, a song of stillness that never truly stops. If the forests teach us patience, then the extremes of the planet teach us possibility. Because even in places that seem utterly lifeless, boiling acid pools, frozen deserts, and the crushing depths of the earth, life endures. These are the realms of the extremophiles, organisms that thrive where logic says they should not exist. They are the proof that life is not fragile, but infinitely adaptable. In the volcanic springs of Yellowstone, water bubbles at temperatures near boiling. Steam rises in colors of orange, red, and gold pigments created by heat-loving microbes known as thermophiles. Their enzymes work best not in comfort, but in chaos. Some survive at temperatures above 120 degrees Celsius, conditions that would destroy ordinary cells in seconds. In these scalding pools, they form microbial mats that ripple like paint across the surface, living tapestries that transform toxic minerals into energy. It is chemistry masquerading as beauty. Elsewhere, in the acid lakes of Ethiopia, water so corrosive it could dissolve metal glows bright green under the sun. And yet, inside these cauldrons, microscopic life thrives. These acid-loving organisms, called acidophiles, have evolved cell walls that resist destruction, proteins that fold and function in acid the way ours do in water. They convert sulfur and iron into fuel, rewriting the rules of biochemistry with every heartbeat. Deep beneath the seafloor, under pressures thousands of times greater than those at the surface, there are bacteria that eat hydrogen and breathe metals. They live in total darkness, subsisting on chemical reactions between rock and water. Some divide only once every century, existing in near stasis, suspended between living and waiting. This hidden biosphere stretches miles below our feet, a shadow world as vast as all the oceans combined, pulsing with unseen persistence. Then there are the radiophiles, masters of radiation. Deinococcus radiodurans, nicknamed Conan the bacterium, can withstand doses of radiation thousands of times greater than what would kill a human. It repairs its DNA faster than it can be destroyed, rebuilding itself molecule by molecule. To scientists, it is not merely a curiosity, it is a glimpse of the possible future of life beyond Earth. Even in the most desolate regions of Antarctica, where wind and cold reduce the landscape to silence, microscopic algae live inside the pores of rocks. These endoliths use the stone as both shelter and filter, absorbing the faint light that penetrates through translucent minerals. When seen under a microscope, they form green constellations, tiny galaxies of life thriving within what we call dead stone. Such organisms redefine what we mean by habitable. They remind us that Earth is not a fragile cradle, but a forge, a place where life has learned to shape itself to every extreme. To them, boiling heat, crushing pressure, or lethal acid are not obstacles, but homes. And if they can adapt to such conditions here, perhaps life can exist on other worlds as well, beneath the icy crust of Europa, in the methane seas of Titan, or beneath the crimson dust of Mars. This is why scientists search for extremophiles, not only to understand the limits of biology, but to expand the boundaries of imagination. These beings whisper that life is universal, not limited by sunlight or air. They hint that the cosmos may be filled with hidden oases, worlds where survival has taken on forms beyond our comprehension. Yet their message is also one for us. In their resilience lies a metaphor for our own capacity to endure. Like them, we too live through extremes of loss, change, and uncertainty. We adapt. We find warmth in coldness, strength in scarcity, and meaning in the unknown. To look at an extremophile is to see persistence made visible, the refusal to surrender to environment or circumstance. They are the quiet rebels of biology, thriving in silence, rewriting the very idea of what life can be. So when you think of the impossible, remember the boiling springs, the acid lakes, the frozen deserts, and the dark beneath the earth. Life is there, glowing, breathing, waiting. It tells us that survival is not about comfort, but imagination. And perhaps, as we search the stars for company, we will find that the universe, too, is alive in ways we have yet to dream, whispering, even now, through the smallest of forms, I am here. If we could compress the entire history of life on Earth into a single day, humanity would appear only in the final seconds before midnight. For most of that day, the world belonged to creatures we know only through stone and shadow, the ancient architects of evolution. Their forms may be gone, but their legacy lives on in feathers, scales, bones, and breath. The story of Earth's past is not one of extinction alone, but of transformation, a story still unfolding within every living being today. When we look at the sky and see a bird in flight, we are not just witnessing grace, we are watching a dinosaur's dream made real. Birds are not merely descendants of dinosaurs, they are dinosaurs, the living heirs of the theropods that once ruled the continents. Long before flight, feathers evolved for insulation and display, shimmering across the backs of small predators. Later, they became instruments of lift and maneuver, and in time, the skies that once echoed with the roars of giants filled instead with song. Every robin, heron, and hawk carries the DNA of creatures like Velociraptor and Tyrannosaurus rex. Their hollow bones, clawed feet, and nesting instincts are remnants of that ancient lineage. In each flutter of wings, there is the echo of deep time proof that life does not vanish when eras end. It adapts, reshapes, and takes to the air. While some descendants evolved to soar, others chose patience over change. The crocodiles, armored and silent, have altered little in 200 million years. Their ancestors saw the age of dinosaurs rise and fall, continents drift apart, and mammals emerge. Through it all, they remained their design so perfect that evolution had little to improve. When a crocodile slips beneath the surface today, it moves with the same stillness that it did when the first birds began to sing. To watch it is to see prehistory breathing. Even the oceans hold echoes of this long continuum. The coelacanth, a deep-sea fish once believed extinct for 65 million years, was rediscovered alive in 1938. Its fins, shaped like limbs, reveal the blueprint of our own evolutionary journey, the moment when fish first began to walk. To glimpse one is to look into the past and see the bridge between water and land still swimming among us. Fossils remind us that life is a sculptor, working in slow motion. Each stratum of rock is a page in its autobiography, ammonites spiraling like galaxies, trilobites frozen mid-step, leaves pressed into stone like whispers from vanished forests. The fossil record is not a collection of deaths, it is a record of persistence. Even in extinction, life leaves patterns that guide what comes next, and those patterns continue through us. Every human carries within their body the memory of those ancient transitions. The bones in our hands mirror the fins of fish. The curve of our spines follows the shape of creatures that once swam. The air we breathe, oxygen produced by microbes billions of years ago, fills lungs that evolved from the swim bladders of early fish. Our very cells hold mitochondria, once free-living bacteria that joined our ancestors in a timeless alliance. We are mosaics of evolution, walking compilations of every story that came before. To see life in this way is to understand that we are not separate from history. We are history. Every bird's wing beat, every crocodile's glide, every fossil buried in stone connects us to the same thread. We are temporary expressions of an unbroken continuity that began in the ocean and will, perhaps, one day return there. Evolution is not a ladder climbing upward toward perfection. It is a river, branching and converging, flowing endlessly through form and function. Species rise, fade, and merge, but the current continues. The earth is its sculptor, and time its tool. And so, when we look at the creatures of today, the hummingbird hovering, the lizard basking, the shark gliding in silence, we are not looking at strangers. We are looking at our relatives, shaped by the same forces, following the same script of adaptation. The story of life is not a tale of replacement, but of remembrance. What has survived is not merely flesh, but the idea of survival itself. From dinosaurs to doves, from fish to humankind, life has been rewriting its own code for billions of years, transforming extinction into renewal. The past is not gone, it lives within every breath you take, every heartbeat, every moment you are alive. We are not at the end of evolution's story. We are one of its latest verses still being written, still unfinished, still echoing the voices of the ancient world beneath our skin. Every human life begins with a spark that is far older than humanity itself. The atoms that make up your body, the calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen in your lungs were forged long before the earth was born, in the cores of ancient stars. When those stars reached the end of their lives, they exploded in supernovae, scattering their elements across the galaxy like ashes of creation. From that cosmic dust came new stars, new worlds, and, eventually, you. It is a humbling and exhilarating truth. You are made of stardust. Every element heavier than hydrogen and helium was created in stellar furnaces billions of years ago. When you touch your skin, you touch the residue of suns that lived and died before our solar system existed. The carbon that forms your cells once drifted through space, carried on interstellar winds. The iron in your blood once glowed at the heart of a collapsing giant. Every breath you take is an echo of the star's final breath. Our planet, too, was born from this cosmic recycling. When the solar system formed, clouds of dust and gas gathered under gravity's pull, fusing into the sun, planets, and moons. Within that swirl, Earth took shape, a sphere of molten rock that cooled, condensed, and eventually grew oceans and air. The same atoms that burned in distant stars now swim in your bloodstream and fill the sky you breathe. The universe dreamed itself into form, and part of that dream became you. For most of history, humans looked up at the night sky and felt small. But the more we've learned, the more we see that we are not separate from it. The stars are not above us, they are within us. Their story is our story. Every human heartbeat is the faint echo of nuclear fire that once lit the cosmos. Every thought is a flicker of ancient light, refracted through the lens of consciousness. The connection between Earth and the heavens runs deeper still. The tides are governed by the moon's pull, which was formed when a young Earth collided with a wandering planet billions of years ago. The gold we wear, the uranium in our rocks, the silver in our veins, all came from neutron stars colliding in distant galaxies. We carry, within our atoms, the fingerprints of cosmic events so vast that our minds can barely contain them. And yet, there is tenderness in this immensity. To know that every leaf, every wave, every whisper of wind is composed of stardust is to realize that nothing is ordinary. The simplest breath becomes sacred when you remember it has passed through countless forms, through the lungs of animals, the petals of flowers, the crust of ancient mountains, and the vast clouds between stars. The air you inhale tonight may once have drifted through the feathers of a prehistoric bird or circled within the heart of a dying sun. In this way, existence is circular, not linear. Life does not begin and end. It recycles. Atoms move from stars to oceans, from oceans to cells, from bodies to dust, and back again to the stars. The universe is both grave and womb, a continuous cycle of transformation. Death, in the cosmic sense, is only another kind of birth. When you look up at the night sky, you are not gazing into distance, you are gazing into memory. The light from distant galaxies takes millions of years to reach us. Every star you see is a message from the past, a story still traveling through the dark. Some of those stars have already died, but their light endures, crossing the void long after their fire has gone out. In that way, the universe itself teaches us something about permanence, that what is gone can still shine. To realize you are made of that same light is to see your life differently. You are not a small observer looking out at an infinite cosmos. You are the cosmos, briefly aware of itself. The atoms of your body once drifted through nebulae and will one day return there. The same forces that shape galaxies shape your heartbeat. The same physics that governs stars governs thought. And in that knowledge lies peace. The understanding that we are not apart from the universe, but expressions of it. You do not belong to the cosmos. You are the cosmos, remembering itself for a moment before returning to silence. So tonight, as you breathe beneath the same stars that gave you form, remember this simple truth. You are ancient beyond measure, vast beyond comprehension, and yet as fleeting as a spark in the dark. But even a spark can illuminate eternity. Every moment you live, every breath you take, is the universe continuing its endless story, written in starlight, carried in your veins, glowing quietly within. When you breathe, you join a cycle that has never been broken. Each inhalation pulls atoms through your lungs that have traveled across time and species, through oceans, mountains, forests, and hearts. The air that fills you has been inside trees, birds, whales, and even the breath of those who lived millions of years before you. Every molecule is a traveler, endlessly circulating between the living and the dead, between sky and soil, between the first cell and you. Take a moment to imagine this. The oxygen you draw now may once have glowed within a leaf of an ancient fern. The carbon you exhale might have been exhaled by a dinosaur, dissolved in a coral reef, or drifted through the lungs of an ancestor who gazed at the same moon. Each breath is a quiet communion, a reminder that all life on Earth shares a single atmosphere, a single story. For in truth, every breath you take connects you to everything that has ever lived. Life is not separate entities scattered across the planet, but one vast system of exchange. Plants breathe out what we breathe in. We return what they release. The ocean itself exhales oxygen through the work of tiny plankton that float unseen, feeding the air that sustains forests and cities alike. To breathe is to participate in the planet's rhythm, a pulse that has continued for billions of years. And deeper still, the code that builds every form of life is shared. From the smallest microbe to the tallest redwood, from the hummingbird to the human mind, all living things are written in the same four-letter alphabet: A, T, C, and G. DNA is the language of Earth, a universal script connecting every species across time. The pattern that forms a whale's heart is written in the same syntax as the petals of a rose or the wings of a dragonfly. This shared genetic code tells us that all life is family. The oak tree outside your window, the bird that perches upon it, the bacteria in your skin all trace their ancestry to a single origin, a microscopic spark that began more than 3.5 billion years ago. Everything that crawls, swims, sings, or breathes is a variation on that same theme. We are, in essence, one vast organism, divided into countless forms yet united by the same chemical poetry. It is easy to forget this unity in the noise of daily life. We divide and categorize, drawing boundaries between us and them, human and animal, nature and civilization. But biology knows no such lines. The atoms in your body once belonged to stars. The genes that make you human were forged by the same processes that shaped coral and moss. The air that keeps you alive is exhaled by forests, and your heartbeat syncs with the pulse of the world around you. To breathe consciously is to awaken to this truth that you are not a visitor on Earth, but part of it. The lungs in your chest are branches of the same system that moves through forests and oceans. Your breath is a leaf's whisper, a tide's rhythm, a mountain's exhalation. You are not merely surrounded by life, you are woven into it. And within this realization lies a quiet kind of peace. The separations we feel between species, between body and world, between life and death begin to dissolve. You see that nothing truly ends, it only changes form. The air leaving your lungs now will one day nourish a flower, a tree, a bird in flight. Your body, when its time comes, will return its atoms to the earth, and those atoms will build new forms, another leaf, another creature, another breath. In this endless cycle, there is continuity, not loss. Life is an intricate choreography of transformation, a single breath passed from form to form, across oceans, across epochs. It reminds us that existence is not a possession but a partnership. To live is to share, to exchange, to belong. So, breathe deeply now. Feel the ancient rhythm flowing through you, the wind that once moved over primordial seas, that carried the scent of forests before words existed. You are part of that wind, and always have been. You are air and starlight, water, and memory, all flowing together in one continuous act of being. The next time you look at a tree or stand beneath a sky heavy with clouds, remember, you are not outside of this world looking in. You are inside it, inseparable from it, breathing the same breath as all that lives. And in that realization, there is both humility and wonder, the quiet understanding that to exist is to belong to everything. Some stories end with silence, but the story of life never truly ends, it transforms. Each generation inherits the echoes of everything that came before, and in that inheritance lies the greatest truth of all. We are the continuation of the universe's imagination, from the smallest cell to the vast complexity of the human mind. Every life form is a single verse in a poem that has been unfolding for billions of years. When we look inward, into our own DNA, we find an archive of survival. Hidden within the code that builds our bodies are fragments of ancient viruses, fossils of microscopic battles long past. Nearly 8% of the human genome is composed of viral genes, relics of infections that our ancestors survived and carried forward. These once hostile invaders have become part of us, shaping our evolution in ways we are only beginning to understand. One such viral gene even helps form the placenta, making mammalian birth possible. It is a paradox written into our cells, life borrowing from death to create itself anew. This strange partnership between destruction and creation is not unique to humans. It is the way of all life to absorb, to adapt, to transform. Every forest that regrows after fire, every coral reef that rebuilds after a storm, is an echo of the same principle. Life uses the ashes of what was to make what will be. And so it is with us. The air we breathe, the minerals in our bones, the water in our blood, none of it began here. These elements have traveled through galaxies, through oceans and mountains, through creatures that lived and died long before memory existed. You are not separate from the world. You are made of its history. If you could trace a single atom in your hand back through time, you would find it once burning inside a star, drifting through interstellar space, caught in the gravity of a newborn world. You would see it woven into a fern, carried by a river, swallowed by a fish, and finally folded into you. That atom has lived countless lives. It will live countless more. You are one chapter in its endless story. The same is true for the breath you take right now. The molecules in that breath have passed through lungs of ancient mammals, the leaves of trees, the feathers of birds, and the waves of the ocean. When you exhale, those molecules will scatter again, to be drawn in by others, perhaps by a whale beneath the sea or by a child not yet born. We are not merely individuals moving through time. We are currents in the great ocean of being, rising and falling, changing form but never disappearing. In this endless exchange, life becomes not a single spark, but a web of light, every creature illuminating the others. To know this is to feel something profound, that there is no true isolation. Even in solitude, you are surrounded by the memory of everything that has ever lived. The air hums with ancient voices. The soil holds the bones of stars. The water that touches your skin once touched the first organisms that swam the primordial seas. Perhaps that is what it means to belong, not ownership or control, but participation. You do not stand above nature. You are its expression. The heartbeat that moves within you is the same rhythm that guides the tides and seasons. The electrical sparks that leap between your neurons are the same forces that once shaped galaxies. And yet, in all its vastness, life remains intimate. It speaks in small gestures, in the curling of a fern toward sunlight, in the quiet pulse of a jellyfish drifting through the dark, in the whisper of your own breath as you fall asleep. These are the languages of the cosmos translated into the language of living. When you understand that, something inside you softens. The anxiety of separation fades. You realize that even when your body returns to dust, the story will continue not in sorrow, but in transformation. The atoms that once made you will rise again in other forms, in clouds, in rivers, in roots, in stars. And so, there is no true ending, only continuation. Every thought, every movement, every kindness you create becomes part of the fabric that future lives will inherit. You are both fleeting and eternal, both whisper and wave. As you rest tonight, remember, you are not a small being in a vast universe. You are the vast universe, briefly remembering itself through you. And when you breathe out, the cosmos breathes in a quiet exchange that has been happening since the first light touched the first atom, and will continue long after the stars fade from the sky. Somewhere deep in the quiet of night, beneath the slow rhythm of your breath, the universe continues to move through you. Every second, billions of atoms shift, bond, and transform inside your body, the same atoms that once drifted through the heart of stars. In this stillness, you are participating in the oldest act of creation, the renewal of life itself. For though we often think of life as something separate from matter, it is not. Life is what matter does when it remembers how to organize itself into meaning. It is the universe arranging its own dust into awareness, a pattern of energy folding upon itself until it can look back and wonder, what am I? That question, echoing quietly through your consciousness, is the same one the cosmos has been asking since the first moment of time. Every star, every ocean wave, every heartbeat is a variation of it, a call and response between existence and awareness. When you listen closely to your own thoughts, you are hearing the voice of the universe reflecting on itself. It is a strange and beautiful thing to realize that even the chaos of evolution, the rise and fall of species, the birth and death of worlds, are not random accidents, but movements in a single great process. The unfolding of complexity, from hydrogen clouds to galaxies, from microbes to minds, the cosmos has been learning to see, to think, to dream. You are part of that dream, a moment of clarity in the long breath of eternity. Scientists once spoke of the anthropic principle, the idea that the universe seems perfectly balanced for life to exist, but perhaps it is not balance by design, perhaps it is persistence by chance. Life is the universe's way of ensuring that awareness will continue, no matter the odds. On one world, it takes the form of forests and oceans. On another, it may whisper through methane and ice. The forms may change, but the pattern remains, energy seeking to understand itself. And we, as humans, are the storytellers of that understanding. We are made of the same dust as mountains and stars, yet we possess the ability to contemplate them, to name, to imagine, to wonder. The universe, through us, has found a way to remember. Every discovery we make, every song, every work of art, is a translation of that cosmic memory into human form. But awareness comes with responsibility. We are not merely witnesses of the world, we are caretakers of its continuation. The forests breathe because we allow them to. The oceans remain alive because we choose to protect them. When we destroy, we erase part of the universe's ability to know itself. And when we create, when we plant, heal, teach, or love, we extend its story. Perhaps that is the true meaning of consciousness, not to dominate nature, but to preserve its ability to speak, to live gently so that the song of life can continue in harmony. Every act of kindness is, in its own way, an act of cosmic preservation, a way of saying to the universe, I hear you, keep going. Think of this as you rest tonight. The starlight that reaches your window has been traveling for millions of years just to touch your eyes. The atoms in your skin vibrate with that same light, responding to it as they have since the dawn of time. You are not apart from the cosmos gazing in. You are a continuation of it gazing back. And when you close your eyes, you return to the rhythm of everything, the pulse of tides, the hum of electrons, the slow rotation of galaxies. Even in sleep, your body glows faintly in infrared, a soft ember of starlight radiating back into space. You are part of the exchange, part of the ongoing conversation between energy and matter, silence and sound, being and becoming. So let the thought settle in your mind like a seed. That awareness itself is sacred, not because it is rare, but because it connects everything. You are here for a brief, luminous moment, a flicker between eternities, yet your existence changes the story of the cosmos forever. Every choice, every breath, every gentle act leaves an imprint that ripples outward, shaping futures unseen. And maybe, long after your atoms have scattered, some distant consciousness born from the same dust will look at the stars and feel what you feel now: awe, connection, and peace. The universe will remember itself again and again, through countless forms, forever seeking the same truth, that to exist is to wonder, and to wonder is to live. The story of life has never truly belonged to one species, one planet, or even one era. It is a current, a continuous stream flowing through all forms and ages. And though we exist for only a breath in cosmic time, that breath is part of something vast, something eternal. To live, even for a moment, is to carry the torch of creation, passed through generations of stars, oceans, and cells. Look closely enough, and you can see the unity of everything reflected in the smallest details. The spiral of a seashell follows the same mathematical rhythm as the spiral arms of a galaxy. The veins of a leaf mirror the branching of rivers, lightning, and neural pathways in your brain. These are not coincidences, they are signatures of a shared architecture. The geometry of existence repeating itself across scales, from the microscopic to the infinite. This pattern, known to science as fractality, is nature's handwriting. It is the evidence that the universe does not merely build. It echoes each structure, imitating the last, refining itself through repetition. It is as though reality is a song, replayed endlessly with new variations. From atoms to stars, from your breath to the motion of galaxies, everything moves in harmony with the same underlying rhythm. And yet, amid this harmony, life adds something unique. Emotion. Awareness becomes experience, and experience becomes meaning. When you gaze at the stars and feel awe, the universe is not just expanding, it is feeling itself through you. When a whale sings, when a tree bends toward light, when a human whispers words of kindness, these are not random events. They are the cosmos practicing empathy. They are existence made tender. It is easy to forget that tenderness is a cosmic force. It drives not only love and creation, but also adaptation and endurance. The first cell divided not out of conquest, but out of cooperation, one becoming two, two becoming many, until life learned to share energy and information. Even now, the same principle holds. Forests communicate through roots and fungi. Coral reefs thrive through partnerships. Human civilization survives through connection. The pulse of existence is collaboration, not isolation. Every choice you make resonates far beyond what you can see. When you speak gently to another being, you are continuing the oldest conversation in the universe, the one that began when atoms first combined and said, in their own way, let's hold together. When you nurture, forgive, or protect, you are acting out the same impulse that created galaxies and rainforests, the desire for continuity, This is what it means to be alive, to be part of an unbroken pattern of creation that expresses itself through kindness as much as through physics. Life is not a machine. It is an act of devotion, a continuous offering from the universe to itself. In this realization, you might sense something both humbling and beautiful. We spend our lives searching for meaning, yet meaning is not hidden. It is woven into everything. It is in the way sunlight moves across your skin, in the slow drift of clouds, in the silent exchange between breath and air, between being and space. If you ever feel small beneath the endless sky, remember, the sky is not above you. It is within you. The elements that make up your body once belonged to nebulae, to supernovae, to the very stars you now admire. When you look at them, you are witnessing your own reflection stretched across light years. You are both observer and observed, a fragment of the universe seeing itself, knowing itself, loving itself. Perhaps that is the quiet purpose behind everything, to move toward awareness, and through awareness, toward compassion. Evolution is not only the story of survival, but of sensitivity. From the first spark of life to the rise of consciousness, the direction has always been the same: toward connection, toward understanding, toward unity. So, as you rest, let this truth settle into you. Nothing is wasted, nothing is forgotten. The atoms that form your body will one day return to the stars, and from them, new worlds will grow. Somewhere, in another age, new minds will open their eyes and feel the same wonder you feel now. The universe will remember itself again through them, just as it remembers itself through you, here, now, in this breath, in this moment. We began as dust, drifting through the cosmos, and somehow, through the long patience of time, that dust learned to dream. It shaped itself into oceans, into forests, into minds capable of love and awe. The story of Earth, of life, of you, it is the story of the universe awakening. From the depths of molten rock to the rise of cities, from the glow of plankton to the music of human voices, all of it is one continuous unfolding. Each generation carries that unfolding forward. Every life, no matter how brief, contributes a note to the song of existence. The whale's call in the ocean, the whisper of wind in the trees, the laughter of a child, these are verses in the same melody. The universe does not sing in words. It sings in motion, in light, in transformation. And in your quiet moments of reflection, you can still hear it, the rhythm of being, steady as your pulse. And in that circle, there is peace. Even when life feels fragile, it is never truly lost. The cells that once held your thoughts will become soil. The soil will grow forests. The forests will breathe new life into the air, and that air will fill new lungs, new hearts, new dreams. The story will continue, written again and again in countless forms. Perhaps that is the secret the universe has been whispering all along, that to exist is already to belong, that to breathe, to feel, to wonder is to be part of something vast and sacred. The stars are not distant, they are within you. The earth is not beneath you, it is you. Life is not a question seeking an answer. It is the answer itself, quietly repeating, I am. So tonight, as you rest, remember this. You are the echo of creation, the pulse of time, the dream of a universe that learned to look at itself and smile. There is nothing you need to reach for, nothing to become. You already are everything that ever was. Let that truth cradle you. Let it carry you gently into sleep, as the cosmos continues its eternal rhythm. The stars will keep shining, the tides will keep turning, and somewhere, deep within the silence, life will keep whispering the same ancient song, the song that says, "You are home." Good night, and see you in the next video.